Come on in. Good morning and welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV. My name is Katie O'Neill and I am so excited about today's video. Today we are bringing you a special order 4037 Ventana. She will go live in Florida. So this will be your one chance to see her, but if you save the stock number, you can always refer back to this video, or if you want information, you can always call me at 303-562-8659. I am coming to you live from Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in very beautiful and sunny Colorado. And as usual, I like to start my RV videos from the inside out. So Jody, please go ahead and take her on back. But today is super fun. I did a comparison vehicle video a few weeks back on a 35-foot Ventana versus a New Air. And the people who ordered this coach had actually initially had a deposit down on that 35-foot coach. We sold them a 4326 Ventana a few years back, and their son's now off to college, so having the drop-down bunk over cab made more sense. And we talked a lot about getting a 38 or a 35, but I really encouraged them to make the move to this 4037 Ventana. So a few things to note about this conversation. First of all, when someone's had a 43-foot Ventana in a 2023 and they come back and they buy a 2026 and a 40-foot Ventana, that means their Ventana experience has been good. The benefit of this video for me is to show people why this product is so amazing. I have so many people that are stuck on a Dutch Star, but if you have like a 2015 or 2016 Dutch Star, you can't hold a candle to what's in this Ventana these days. So first and foremost, I've got to show off my favorite feature about this coach. Take a look at this shower. So outside, you'll notice that we have the hanging towel racks. Same locking mechanism as usual. But when you open this door and look inside, take a look at the size of this bench. It is incredible. So this is one of those coaches where I don't need to ask you to put that teak bench in because you have so much room. I mean, you can put your shampoo and conditioner down up there, your razor. I mean, what a nice feature in this bathroom. And then on top of it, it still has the great features that you expect in the Ventana, like the skylight to give you that natural light, the shelf here for your shampoo and conditioner, the Aquamizer shower system. Now keep in mind, what this does is this allows you to recycle the water behind the scenes, heat up that that freshwater tank. You've got 105 gallons of fresh water. And then before you actually start filling up your gray water tank, it's going to get nice and warm in that tank of water, and then you'll turn it over here to the spray feature where it'll start coming out of either the shower head or your wand. And as you can see, the faucet set for this, of course, is super luxury. I think that's one of the things to really make sure to point out to you during this video. These Ventanas are not, entry-level coaches. These are really, really nice coaches. The big differentiating factor has always been carpet. And now that there's no carpet in this Ventana either, it makes it very easy to fall in love with this coach. So one thing that we wanted to do in this product was to make it exactly what they wanted. They had the coach before, they found one that we had in inventory, but the vessel sink that comes in the standard layout was not to their taste. So I went ahead and pulled a faucet set out of a different coach. I got this great, nice undermount dark glass bowl underneath the countertop, so there's no vessel here. Also, we went ahead and got the two-tone cabinets. So as you can see, this huge medicine cabinet here has plenty of room above the sink so that you can actually have your cordless toothbrush and tissue paper holders, all the things that you would normally keep there. And there's an outlet tucked up there, nice and hidden out of the way. Another feature I really loved about this coach was this beautiful tile. The subway tile is really fun, very contemporary. And then of course on this 4037 floor plan, you have a ton of great storage. So big, deep, soft closed doors. All of these are solid maple. And one of the things that we really wanted to get for Steve was the matte finish. They actually had a really hard time going back and forth. When you have a couple who are looking at, color combinations, the one thing I would say is you want to make sure, you've got happy wife, happy life, happy wife. So we went ahead And this is actually kind of surprised. They didn't know whether or not they were going to get high gloss or matte finish because they were so indecisive. But I said, your wife really likes this suede finish. So we went ahead and went with a suede finish in the chestnut. It looks absolutely gorgeous on this coach. And very soft, I would say, kind of an ethereal interior. We've opted for the optional stackable washer and dryer by Splendide. And then also, you'll note that we have my favorite feature in any bathroom, a robe hook, which is important. Really nice valance covers. You've got your day and night shades the whole way through. These are manual, so if you did want power shades, you would have to get that Dutch Star level. That is one of the differentiating features. But you have the egress door here in the rear bathroom. This floor plan would be most closely compared to a 4081 Dutch Star. I might actually do a side-by-side video on the two of them later on this week. Jody's shaking his head. I love it. Okay, I want to point out some of the things we opted not to change in this coach. We went ahead and stuck with the Ventana. This travertine floor is beautiful. This is a porcelain tile floor. Even the step cover is heated. This does have 3-zone in-floor heat. These are all things that you used to have to get into like the really high-end luxury coaches to have. Jody, you want to pop in here?
Question.
Oh, we've already got a question.
What is the horsepower and torque?
Okay, so the question that we're being asked right now is about horsepower and torque. So this is a big deal for the Ventana. So we initially had a 6.7 liter engine in anything under 40 feet. We now have that same 8.9 liter ISL, which is the Cummins engine that's both in the Dutch Star and in the Ventana. Anything under 40 feet is going to have a 360 horsepower with 1,150 foot-pounds of torque. Anything over 40 feet, so 40 feet and above, is going to have 400 horsepower on the Ventana with the same 1,250 foot-pounds of torque. Both the 40 and above Dutch Star and Ventana are going to have a 15,000 pound tow capacity, and that's because it has a tag. That was one of the main reasons that we opted into this extra 2 feet of living space for Steve and his wife. We really wanted to make sure that we had enough room for storage underneath, but more importantly, a smaller size than that 44-foot coach. They had a 4310, of course, and the 4326 Ventana they had before. So, you know, significantly shorter length, but also maintaining that 400 horsepower output and that 1,250 foot-pound torque rating. So these are very similar ratings in the Dutch versus the Ventana when you're looking at anything over 40 feet, but you do get down-tuned to that 360 even though you've got the same engine and something shorter. Okay, come on in, Jody. Let's go ahead and take a look. Thanks for the question, by the way. I know that's a long answer, but there's a lot that goes into it, and it's an important question to actually understand. So another great feature of this coach, having this extra space here, and you can see here, these are all adjustable shelves. So this is a really nice feature of this product. You can get, you know, if you have any of your larger items and you want to store them while you're on the road in this rear cabinet. Now, one thing I will say though is it's so sad when we have these Ventanas because when I close the pocket door, you can't see my friend Jody. I always try to catch him in those door shots. So a little bit of a differentiating factor there. One feature that I really love that we have on this coach, so first of all, you've got windows that open the whole way around, right, on either side of the bed, and then over here above your dresser. Now we do have the 3 Carefree awnings deployed today, so you can see how those work. But it's really nice to have that fresh air available to you here over your dresser. And then, of course, one of the nicest features of this coach is the fact that we're going to have it wired for Starlink, and we're actually going to do something special for Steve. He has a lot of he does a lot of football games down on the southeast corner of the United States, and of course that whole Florida area is very impacted, so cellular data doesn't work quite as well as Starlink. We're going to run 2 Starlink routers into a centralized router for him, and so this 43-inch flat screen TV will be powered by Starlink, and you probably won't really need this cabinet down below. Now again, these are adjustable shelves, so if he wanted to put a PlayStation in here or something like that, he could. But really, to be honest with you, his wife would probably really like to have the extra storage space for shoes. You know, you put your hiking boots and your flip-flops in there. And then, of course, you've got your nice deep pocket drawers, as well as your wardrobes. Now, on this coach, these would normally come in this chestnut color, but I really like the way adding this Summit opens up this bedroom and makes it look so bright and cheery in here. This is a very bright, happy looking coach. And if you knew this couple, you'd think that is the perfect thing for them. They deserve a bright, happy coach. They're bright, happy people. Now, above the headboard, you'll notice, again, the two-tone. This is a standard feature. You'd have the summit cabinets above the headboard regardless. We do have to special in quite a few little tweaks and nuances to really get this coach perfect. The sinks, for instance, the difference in the cabinet colors, venting the microwave to the outside of the coach. All those little nuances really make this coach just perfect for them. Now you do have two 110 outlets above the headboard. And of course we've got the little grommets over here down below so that you can run wires through so that you could actually put a laptop or whatever you might want in there. And as mentioned earlier, these are opening windows on either side. I love this big tufted headboard. Very, very nice feature. Another optional feature that we opted for them was the air mattress. So of course this is the air mattress. And then you'll notice here I have a ladder. Well, what in the world could that ladder be for? Well, I'll tell you, the ladder is for the drop-down bunk. And that is really what makes this coach perfect for them. The drop-down bunk was the thing that gave us the ability to ditch the bunk model. So if their son's in town, typically Steve and his son will go down to the games together. His wife will stay home on the farm, take care of the animals, and the two of them are out palling around. Well, they don't want to sleep in the same quarters. So it's really nice. Steve gets to have the way back, son gets to have the way front, lots of separation of space. And you know, he's off to college now if he finds a nice girl and they happen to, you know, get along really well. We have an extra sleeping quarters in the opposing couch as well as in the sleeping quarters here. So again, this coach was very specially designed, and I think it makes, you know, I asked Avon, I said, how do we say on this advertisement for this vehicle, get what you want, not what they have. So I have 6 orders that I'll currently deliver by the end of February. All of these are really very well thought out. They're not hugely different than what's offered in the marketplace, but they're hugely specialized for my client. These are very expensive coaches, not comparably to everything else in the marketplace. And to be honest with you, a Ventana is a great buy. But when you're spending this much money, you really want to get exactly what you want, and Newmar allows you to do that. And I think it's such a blessing. Now, speaking about exactly what you want, floor heat, we love to have heated floors. All of the light options being available on your phone is, of course, fantastic. You've got your climate control here as well. So you've got your 15,000 BTU air conditioners and heat pumps. You've got your floor heat. You've got your generator control where you could actually set this to turn on automatically by temperature or by voltage. So depending on, you know, whatever it is that's triggering your generator to come on. And then you've got this nice simple screen that shows you your fresh gray and black water tank all in one place, and then all of your light control in one place. And again, all of this is available to you by Bluetooth on the Newmar app. So that's a great thing. And this is the ATC system. We moved to ATC because of the fact that, you know, in the world of integration, some things work better than others. So ATC is the new standard operating system for all of our Newmar coaches. Now, another thing that we opted for was the central vac. So this is your hose connection here. Oh, and I didn't show the nightstands. I did just want to point this out quickly. So you've got USB type A and C outlets in your nightstands now, as opposed to just having the 2 USB ports. I think that that's a nice feature. And then again, the big difference for this coach for this couple was going to be having this extra half bath. And there's a kick plate down here for the central vac. We've also opted in the nice glass bowl. And then I changed all the cabinets in this. So this is one of those changes that doesn't seem like a big deal, but you know, there was summit here and dark here. It just got really kind of broken up. So we went ahead and took all the summit out of this and made this all chestnut interior. Again, little nuances that just really make this coach feel like home. And you can see so much storage there, so mumuch storage here. And this bathroom is very similar to the bathroom that you would have on the 38-foot version. The big difference between the 38-foot and the 40-foot, to be honest with you, really comes into the kitchen area and the pantry, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. Now, when I say the pantry, on the 38-foot, it's here, and it's much smaller. It's the size of the one that I have on my Superstar. And then on the 40-foot, it's here, and it's much, much larger. So these drawers are a lot wider. Of course, these are full extension drawers. They push in to lock in place. They won't come out while you're going down the road. I know that it sounds silly. For those of you who've been watching a lot of Newmar videos, that might not seem like a thing to you, but try some of those other brands where we'll literally see people come in and they've got like bungee cords holding their drawers together because stuff flies out of them while they're driving. I know for us that have had Newmars, we know the difference, but maybe we don't know the difference. Maybe we've never experienced how nice this coach is, so I like to make sure I cover those things in the video. Another really nice feature of this coach is this 19.7 cubic foot refrigerator is of course the same as the one that they have now. The big deal for me on this one is you got a outdoor whole house water filter and then a second water filter up here. That is going to filter not only your ice water, but also the water that dispenses from your door. This dispenser gives you the ability to not carry a Brita, which means you can use all of this shelf space for Red Bulls and beer. Just kidding. Orange juice and milk, huh, Jody? He's like, no, it's Red Bull and beer, Katie. All right, so great feature here. Automatic ice maker, very easy to get to. Lots and lots of ice available. Big, deep pocket doors. We did pre-wire this for the outdoor refrigerator, but it doesn't necessarily have to be used. I didn't put the tray in just in case. For me, I'm not a big outdoor refrigerator person. I like to have the kind you use ice in. Now, this is an interesting fit. So I've got a number of people I've ordered this setup for that have littles right now that will probably outgrow this space. One thing about this setup, so they do have the Euro booth with the extendable table. You can go back to the factory and have this swapped out when you don't need it any longer. Or you could order it this way and we could actually put the Euro booth table itself in here. The reason I like this is these pockets here are much deeper because there's no curvature on the seat itself when you're sitting in it. So there's actually quite a bit more room for you to have two people here because you can sit much further or much closer to the wall. Downside, you get a little small tray here, so you're going to have to be pretty dexterous with a napkin holder. You could certainly keep some salt and pepper and some Cholula there, but you're not going to have that nice buffet that you have when you have the extendable Euro booth. But the big benefit, in my opinion, is this. So I use this a lot. This is a ton more space. When you have the Euro booth, your drawer is about this deep. When you have this convertible booth dinette, your storage space is immense. This is where I keep all my bowls, my plates, my napkins, my like all the stuff that I use for the table is underneath these two areas. So that's a nice feature. I don't know if you saw the cushion that was next to the toilet in the rear bath, but that of course inserts here. And if you do have littles, you can of course put this would fit, it fits in underneath here if I take off the cushion. You could have a rear facing car seat in this area, but again, you can always start here and change later. Or again, this is one of those things that I can change for you during the ordering process where, you know, you can have exactly what you like. I know, is that crazy? Now this is a place where you see a huge difference between the 38 and the 40-foot floor plan on the Ventana. Right here. This space right here. So this whole entire extendable island does not exist on the 38-foot. Neither does the tag axle. If anyone's ever driven a coach with a tag, going to one without a tag thereafter would have made me a really bad guy in the world of Steve and his wife. I know that they would have been very disappointed with the drive characteristic of this coach. And this coach, now that it's shorter but still has that tag, it's going to feel like a rocket to them. So I'm pretty excited about that. So of course, great kitchen storage, all of your balsamic, olive oil, you know, your nicer things up there. I would take this shelf out personally and put my coffee maker and toaster up here, but you could leave it in and do whatever you want. These are of course full extension, which makes it easy for you to get to them. And then above here, we still have our fantastic little spice rack, which is really nice. It's deceptive. It's actually, so it's like that deep. You could have some pretty decent sized jars up there for spices. And then another storage area here. And then, of course, my favorite feature of this coach are the junk drawers. And, of course, what are you going to keep in here? Bottle openers, maybe cocktail napkins, flashlights, matches, all of that stuff. And then, of course, it just can go away if you don't need it. And you'll also find that we have an outlet here and here. So you can put your coffee maker here. You could put a toaster oven back there, however you wanted to use that. And we have opted in for the extra window, of course, in the kitchen. That's not a mandatory feature. It is not a standard feature, but I think it lets a lot of that natural light in. And then I love this new Whirlpool. I know it looks small, you guys. It's not small. It's just because it comes with this great baking tray. If you've got tater tots or French fries and you want to air fry them, this is an air fryer. If you want to bake cookies, you can do that. You can set these in whichever order you like. It's just a really, really nice setup. And although it looks smaller, when you take those two out, it's very, very roomy. So you could definitely put a Romanoff clay pot in there to make your chicken. And again, you've got air fry, microwave, and oven all in one nice, convenient location. Below your cooktop, you've got your silverware drawer and then plenty of room for all of your spatulas, maybe your hot pads. And then here we have one of my favorite features. Not the cutting boards. I don't use my cutting boards. I don't want to have the marks on the back of them. I keep my cutting boards above my silverware actually. But I use this outside all of the time. The reason I love this True Induction is not only is it a great safety feature, so let's say that they do have some little ones down the road. If they've got someone who's cooking with them, you could put a paper towel down this and boil water without that paper towel catching on fire. Not only can you boil the water without the paper towel catching on fire, if you're outside and it's gusty, it's not going to have that same effect that the wind does on propane stoves, for instance. So if you cook inside your RV with your cooktop and then when you go outside you use like a Coleman stove or your chef camp or whatever it is that you're using, you can actually bring this outside and it's so amazing. When you set it to 360 degrees, you get the perfect fried egg. You can actually find your baking zen at any altitude with this cooktop. So I love the True Induction. And if you are going to use these covers, you can store them either way. So you could actually store them so the covers are facing up. On our coach, we used to have a smaller cutting board that we kept inside of there and then we would use it. If you put a thinner cutting board inside of these, it has a little lip so your AirPods don't get like launched across the room. But now that the kids are older and they're not with us as much, we don't have to worry about that as often. So this is another great feature of this coach. So I have a Superstar, which is kind of the equivalent to the Ventana. I have a dual basin sink. This is such a luxury sink. I love the styling of it. I love the color of it. I love the depth of it, the size of it. Everything about this sink is fantastic. Nice stainless steel undermount sink. Of course, you have the spray and pour feature. And if you've had it already, you know how convenient it is to be able to spray off the inside of your sink with that little faucet head right there. And then we haven't talked about these yet either, but we do have fantastic fans in both bathrooms and then here above the kitchen area in case you're cooking and you've got some smelly stuff. But again, this microwave has been ordered specially. It's not available on your order sheet. I do a lot of this stuff so much. I actually order most of our inventory in a very similar way that I do custom orders, where I'll do things like vent microwaves, I'll change out backsplashes, change out flooring. You know, I really like to kind of get these things just right. But again, you know, so ventilation in this coach is very, very nice because you've got a big opening window behind the kitchen. You've got one on the opposing couch. I will go ahead and put the TV up so we can see this. We've got a really nice 50-inch flat screen TV. And of course, because of the fact that we have the drop-down bunk, we don't have the television in the front. The drop-down bunk is an optional feature, but man, talk about a cool thing to have. Oh, I just locked it. Let me unlock it. So, I mean, if you really are going to be catching a football game and you have an adult child that's going to be camping with you and you don't want to have to convert, you know, your couch into a sleeping quarters and then back, you know, the next day, This is so nice. They can leave their pillows up here, their bedding up here. It's a really nice, comfortable mattress. You know, great place to be able to have a very tall person. This is 7 feet, so you'd have to have a really big kid to have them be too small there. And I would definitely say, you know, it's certainly wide enough to have a couple up there if necessary. In terms of the weight of that couple, you know, you're going to have to make sure that they meet the 500-pound requirement. I don't know if you could have two 250-pound dudes up there anyway, so. All right. One of my most exciting features coming out in 2026 was this. I've been asking for this for years. I love Ryan and JP. The guys at Newmar, they will ask me what I think. They'll sit down and like take notes and listen to all my requests. And I don't know if I'm the only person or if everyone was asking for this, but thank God there's a place to put a wine glass down, you know, because we're not all drinking tumblers full of whiskey. I know we should be. Whiskey's great, but if you want to have a pop, this works great. If you want to have a glass of wine, this is like a death trap for your wine glass. So nice flat surface. Also a great place to put some snacks if you've got chips and dip. And then I love the fact that they've still given us all of our storage room. So you've got all the room for the blankets and all the room for the remotes right here in the center cubby. And then these are so cool. Now they haven't done the Type-C outlets here yet, but they still have the little USB guys. So you can just leave your charger in here for your phone, because I'm sure like most households, I think everyone has like which recliner is theirs. So this is just a really great recliner setup. Cup holder, recliner, big screen TV. I mean, what a great place to take a little bit of a siesta at the end of a long day. The people who buy these coaches oftentimes work really hard to be able to afford them, so it's nice to give them a place to relax when they are taking that time out of the office. And then a lot of storage up here. And it's really funny, we went back and forth on these cabinets, and I really feel like we made the right choice for this couple. I told them, I said, you know what, guys? I'm not even going to tell you what you're going to get, because you go back and forth so much. You're just going to have to wait, and it's going to be a surprise. The truth be told, I know them well enough to know that this was the right decision. I would have gone with a glossy myself, but I know that for Steve and his wife that it would definitely not have been the other. And just so we all know, certainly I do know my customer's wife's name, but it's rather unique. And just in the benefit of privacy, we're not going to go ahead and say both names on TV. So I know they're watching this. No, I didn't forget. I just want to make sure I'm not giving too much information out to the public. And I appreciate you letting me make a video of your coach, because it is fantastic. I'm so excited about it. I walked it this weekend, and actually I've already sent them a video of it. So I know that they're excited about it. They've already seen it. But it's fun to do these full feature videos, because, you know, when it comes down to time to resale, what a great way to be like, hey, I can show you everything about my RV. So I had a client send me a text earlier this morning. He said, is there a place to keep your guns? I was like, well, yeah, you could keep them all right here. Like, you could keep a bunch of ammo in there too. You could keep some bricks. I mean, whatever kind of contraband you want. Lots and lots of room for it there. Great little hiding space. Right below, of course, what is a very nice and comfortable bed. One of the great aspects of these new extendable queen size beds is the fact that you don't need an air mattress. It's just comfortable. I could have put those cushions back. I didn't. That's a video. Now back here we do have seat belts to the tune of 1, 2, 3. We also have a seat belt in the booth. We also have seat belts in the recliners. So that's 1, 2, 5, 6, 8 seat belts in this coach. It's a lot of seat belts. I don't know if I would recommend camping with 8 people, but you could have your adult children. You could have, you know, 2 littles up here and another one over there. I mean, heck, if you had enough margaritas, you could have 2 adults in the recliners too. But no, it's a really, really nice setup. Lots of flexibility. Other features that we, you know, opted for on this, we've got the slide out trays, which you'll see outside underneath. We've opted for the toll module, the bed, the recliners, of course. But most importantly, I would say venting that microwave. getting the cabinets right in the right areas, getting the interior color correct. And it's funny because this was so similar to the 3512, which they could have had like right then. So we ordered this coach in September, if you want to know, and it's here now. So the turnaround time to get exactly what you want is really not a lot. I'd say the harder thing is to find somebody who actually knows what to order differently. That's a big deal. So let me get my specs out on this. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything. I wanted to talk a little bit, and I'm not going to do it outside, it's too cold, about wheelbases. So this coach has some really nice features. One of them is going to be comfort drive. So what comfort drive keeps your steering wheel going straight when you're going down the road. It does it electronically, so it's got an electronic bias to go straight down the road. That is a huge benefit for a Class A. The other thing that this coach has that makes a huge benefit is going to be the passive tag axle. That gives it a much shorter wheelbase. So when you're making those turns into tight spaces, this is a very agile 40-foot, 10-inch bus. I know that that sounds crazy, but it really is true. So I went ahead and I wrote them down just to make sure we could talk about them. There's 5 floor plans available on the Ventana. The smallest is the 3512. That has a 212-inch wheelbase. That's tiny, you guys. That is a very, very small, dexterous, little tiny coach. The next one up is the 38-foot. The 38-foot has a 248-inch wheelbase. Again, tiny. You've got to keep in mind, a 40-foot Superstar has a 345-inch wheelbase. We're talking 100 inches difference. But what's interesting about this is now we're in a 40-foot coach, right? So we've gone from 38 feet 10 inches to 40 feet 10 inches. And guess what? Our wheelbase is smaller. It's 245-inch wheelbase plus the tag. So what that tag does is it moves that wheel set further forward, giving you a shorter amount of distance between your wheels. So if you're going over a hill, the chances of you getting high-centered are less. But it also gives you extra wheels behind the rear of the coach so you can actually have better buoyancy going down the road, more stability. And then that back wheel, it actually has a pin that releases and it pivots off of that wheel so you can actually make those tighter turns. And then the longest one, so the one that they're trading in, has a 281-inch wheelbase, so 40 inches less. This is going to be much more dexterous. All of them are going to have 105-gallon water capacity, 100-gallon fuel capacity. All of them are going to have, I think it's an 85-gallon, let me see, 75-gallon gray tank, 55-gallon sewage tank. So most of the features of these coaches across the board are going to be very, very similar. Now, when you go into the Dutch Star product, there's a few things to talk about. Now, this coach has a full wall slide. So, Jody, I'm going to go ahead and pull this in. We're going to take a look at how this actually comes up. So this is one of the differences. So this is going to be a slide that drops down into a pocket. And the big improvement for this year is that there's no longer carpet on this slide. It's this really nice material that we've been using in a lot of our products across the board to replace carpet. So this is not going to get sand or dirt stuck into it. You can use, just some Myers soap and water to clean it off if there's any kind of marking on it. And you can sweep on it instead of vacuuming it. So that's a really nice feature, but you need to have that soft material there to be able to put these slides in and out of this pocket. So on the Dutch Star, you would have a hydraulic pocket. Here you can see this is actually kind of rising up as it comes in. It lifts a little bit, and then it just slides in. So this is a big difference. Now both coaches are going to have what's called a full wall slide. Both coaches are going to have the Oasis system, standard, all electric coach, no propane on board, with hydronic heat. The dual loop Chinook is the same hydronic system that you're going to have starting in the Ventana and going all the way up and through the Essex line. And even when you get into the King Air, you just have a bigger Oasis system. But this is a 50,000 BTU system. The big deal is it's got an 8-gallon reservoir for hydronic fluid, so it gives you a lot of really good heat. My boyfriend left yesterday on a road trip. Driving cross country, he can keep the interior of our Superstar when it's 28 degrees outside, cooking at 70 degrees with that Oasis system just off of the burner heat. And what that means is you can drive with your heater on in very cold temperatures without running your generator, just by using the Oasis dual loop Chinook system to heat the underbelly of the coach and to keep the coach warm while you're going down the road. So this is a really, really nice benefit. And of course, you've got 3 different ways to heat it. Oh, by the way, if I can make it through this walkway with these boots on, you know it's got good walking room. It's cold, you guys. I'm not good in the cold. I'm from San Diego, okay? So I like it nice and warm. But I can get all the way back here, and I can get into my bathroom. So I've got nice access here. I can get into my pantry. I can make you a sandwich. Both doors, the freezer, all the important things. And I'm going to leave one of the slides out in the bedroom just so we can see how that looks from the outside. But like I said, really, really nice room here. Now, if you were in a Dutch Star in a 40-foot coach, you'd have the same horsepower. I'm sorry, you'd have the same torque rating, but you'd have 450 versus 400. On the Dutch Star, when you move into those 43-foot coaches, you do get a 10 kilowatt diesel generator, 150 gallons of fuel, and I think that those are the two main differences. But so I think that those are important things to note. As you go through this process, there's so much information, and finding someone who not only knows it but can help break it down and help you understand how it's relevant to your purchase is really good. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the front of this morning, so we're going to spend most of it outside. The 360 camera is standard. Mobileye is standard. If you go out of the lanes, it'll buzz you in the butt. I did want to show with this bunk over cab, I can wear moon boots and still not have my bird's nest touch the padded ceiling. So pretty good room in here. It is a little more cramped than it would be if you were to have, for instance, your the TV up front, not the drop down bunk. But you still get all of this great storage up front, which is really nice. And this is long storage, just so you know. You could put like a big old golf umbrella up there. And then here, of course, we've got our slide controls, power management system. Oh, I didn't put maybe I start the generator. Hold on. You need to have the generator on to put the awnings out, just so you know. I think it's weird, but it's true. So we'll put the awnings out today. It's not very windy. We'll put the one over the door out too. With the Victron system, they've got a really nice energy mapping system up here. That's what this cover's for. Just put that back on there. But it's a very, very well organized and nice coach. Let me see if I'm going out. So this coach is pre-wired for solar. Oh, and I actually think we pre-wired it for, in one of these, I'll have to figure out what cabinet it is. Steve, I'm sorry, I don't know which one it is. I didn't look for it. We pre-wired the cabinet for Starlink. So we're going to do a roof-mounted Starlink, and then we're going to do a Starlink that comes from, oh, you know what? Let's see, Jody. Let's take a look up here. Here, back up just a little bit. Let's see if it's up here. We pre-wired everything for Starlink, so this is probably what it is up here. And we're going to put one underneath, and then we're going to put one also up on top. So he'll have 2 Starlinks. Where that becomes handy is if you're, camping in like the sequoias, then you need to have a Starlink that you could put out from, somewhere in between the trees. If you're camping in Florida, you need to have one just on top of the bus. So that's how we do that. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and hit stop. And we'll go outside. So another feature about this coach, Steve's wife is not a big person at all. She's tiny, and this is comfortable for her. If you like to have room for a small white dog, you could get the queen seat. She has a small white cow. It would not fit in the queen seat. So this is a more narrow recliner. These are both recliners in this coach. And of course, things like the wireless charging pads, the outlets, again, with USB type A and type C. You even have a 12 volt up here. I don't know, you could, I guess, inflate your paddleboard inside of your coach. I don't know. And then power door locks. So this is kind of an interesting feature. So the power door locks, I will show this real quick. If you have a small white dog, you can keep all the puppy food right there. and you can keep all the leashes and doggy dishes right there, or you can use this for shoes if you don't travel with pets. Oh, and the all lights off feature, I wanted to show that. So I'm going to turn all the lights off just right there. Nice feature too. You can turn them also on right there. But so as you can see out here, we have the awning up for above the door, and then we've got our dual awnings. This is the upgraded awning package. Otherwise you get a single awning that's not pitched. And as you can see, the pitch in this awning is actually really making quite a bit of difference. But one thing that you'll note here is the Ventana does not have the chrome package as an option. I've installed it on coaches, so we could do that. They do have an option for chrome door handles. I think that these door handles look really nice because they're painted and they just blend into the coach. The chrome door handle package is a few $1,000 and the trim is $5,000. So you could save $7,000 and just do a full paint look like this. I do almost all of my Super C orders this way. I think it looks really nice. I'm not saying that you should. Of course, opinions are fantastic. That's why everyone has different things in life. But I just wanted to show you that you could save some money on those options. So here's that first cabinet where we did elect to go ahead and have the pre-wire done for the cooler. Just gives you this like little bank up here where you got your outlets. And then you could always put a tray in here and do a full-size Dometic if you wanted to. That little handle right there is to put these awnings out. So on the Dutch Star, you know, again, just doing that comparison, you know, what do you get for $150,000 extra? Those are going to be power instead of having to manually deploy them. I would absolutely make sure to order them on your coach. I see a lot of coaches without them. I do think they're a very nice, handy option to have. We use ours all of the time. And they're also, when they're in this fashion and they've got the supporting arms and then that tether, they're pretty durable in the wind. Of course, this has a wind sensor, but as you can see, it's giving me a ton of really nice shade right now and creating kind of a living room for my TV. So on the 4037, this is where the TV is. It's not in the bays down below. For people who have a casita, which is a lot of people who have a nice flat front Newmar, this is a great location because you do have bar stools. I don't have bar stools. I don't have a casita. I have lawn chairs. I like mine in the basement, but that's just how it comes on this floor plan. They're both fine. I don't know. You don't need a lot of television when you're camping, I don't think. We did opt, these are optional on this coach, 1,000-pound weight rated. And as you can see, if you had that slide all the way out, it would come to about here, right? As you can see from that one. So you would still be able to get in and out with all of your stuff to about 60% through. And I love it when they're not power because they close so easily and so fast. And you know, this star foundation on this coach is another huge feature. You can see the star foundation coming down right here. So this is where they raised that chassis rail, or raised the coach up off of the chassis rail. It gives them the ability to run all of these wires. So with your aluminum C-channel construction and your star foundation, you have very easy manipulation of where things are plugged into for Newmar to work with. And then as you can see here, we have our vacuum cleaner accessories. And then these are the guys that go on the floor. So you put these down where those roller tracks are to keep from getting marks. It's so funny. People will be like, oh my God, why do you get marks on your floor? I'm like, well, if it doesn't have a hydraulic lift, it's not levitating off of the floor. It's rolling on things. And if you have stuff under the rollers, that's what's putting the mark on. It's the fact that there's dirt underneath the rollers. So you put those down to keep from getting marks on your floor. It's not because there's anything wrong with the coach. These are controls for your awnings outside. Just nice. I love the fact that they're here. And then you'll see this little drip line right here. This is actually to keep the roof gutters draining as opposed to dripping down the side of the coach. This is one of the cameras for the 360 camera. There's 4 cameras for the 360 camera mounted throughout. And they're not hugely important for parking. They're really good for not running over picnic tables or hitting rocks when you're departing your campsite though. And then this is a great new feature. So this started in 2025. So it's super nice that the technician has access to this. And I did not know that they cared. Now, if you're doing your own self-help, maybe you're calling our factory guy, Bill Habercorn, I shouldn't say factory, our employee that works here. You're calling Bill Habercorn to get some help you know, with being able to access, you know, something that's not working in your coach, you can just remove this cover without even having to have a screwdriver. And of course, you could FaceTime him and show him exactly what you're experiencing and what you know, what's not working. And you guys can run all your tests here. Very, very nice and easy to use. It used to have a pegboard there to hang tools. The technicians just rave about these easier access points. Ooh, it's getting a little gusty. Those might come in. All right, so this is why I wanted to leave this open. So if you see these little holes here, there's actually a cog wheel that fits into these holes, and it does a full rotation to get the slide in and out. And what's nice about this is there's no cords, there's nothing that's gonna stretch over time or fail. This is a big, heavy-duty cog wheel. It's about this big, and it has little teeth that come off of it, and it literally just cranks in and then cranks out to bring the slides in and out. So much more reliable than some of the other manufacturers' mechanisms. Newmar invented slides, so the fact that they're better at them than everybody else isn't surprising at all. So you'll notice here we've got an innie and an outie, right? So your drive axle, again, is your forward driving axle. From the middle of this axle to the middle of the front drive wheel that's your turning radius. That's what's impacting things, because this actually pivots when you're turning. So this will, as soon as you start driving, it will actually engage on itself, and then it will go straight. But when you're slowing down, one of the things we talked about, when you put your coach in reverse, you want to wait for about 5 seconds to let this engage completely before you start backing up so that you can steer. And that's, you know, we just had training with Joe Snyder. He's actually who called me during the video earlier. We have Freightliner out here all the time. It's helping us get better at what we do, and it's just so fantastic that our management team takes the time to let us in and to let us, you know, learn how to do what we need to do. I'm going to run around to the other side real quick and pop on that generator. Jody, you don't have to chase me. I'm going to be right back. So just so you guys know what I'm doing, of course, we live in Colorado, and I said that we didn't have to worry about, the wind kicking up, and that we could keep our awnings out. And I also mentioned that you wanted to have your generator on or be plugged into 50 amp to order to operate it. And then of course, we got some pretty good gusts of wind coming through. And although it could be fun to, oh, there we go. It could be fun to replace both of these awnings before my client comes out next week to pick up his coach. I'm gonna go ahead and put those awnings in. I love the fact that you have this outside connection to your awnings, so you don't have to go all the back in and find your remote. You can just do it right there. We use that all the time too. It's funny what you notice after you've had an RV for a while. So this is a battery disconnect for the chassis. And then as you can see, this is a super clean emissions vehicle. That's your tank right down there that burns off all those particulates. That's what gives you that low emissions value. And then here in the back, you'll find you have your radiator. Now, of course, you get a side radiator on a Dutch Star or a rear radiator on the Ventana. I've got a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, checking my oil might be hard. No, you just check your oil right here. Like, it's easy to get to. In terms of servicing your engine, we don't charge any more for a service on a Ventana with a rear radiator than we do with a Dutch Star with a side radiator. So if you're doing it for yourself, because you're going to change your own oil, there might be some merit to that. But if it's just to save the technicians, you know, time and work, it doesn't really make much of a difference to them. Another one of those rear cameras. So we've talked about this ultra steer and being able to have a better turning radius. Again, just huge benefit in this coach. As you can see here, a great place for like a nice long patio chair, I would say. One of those fancy lawn chairs. Here's your def tank. It is not a dual fill. It is on the driver's side, which is nice because that's typically the side where you're going to be doing your payments. It is a dual fill for the fuel. With 100 gallons of diesel, I would definitely be pulling into truck stops more often than just regular gas stations, not just for the height clearance, but also because it just fills that much faster. So this is a great place to be able to keep your hose for your gravity tank. And then take a look at this wash bay or this sewer bay. This is such a nice feature. Your water supply is on a power reel, so you just push the button to reel that in, so you don't have to store it underneath. You got your outdoor shower. We have everything winterized, so we always put things down when they're winterized. We put them up when they're de-winterized. But as you can see, whole house water filter, hot and cold outdoor shower. Very, very easy to use, and you can turn your water pump on out here or inside or on your phone. So really easy to access all of those things so you can get up and ready for camping. Your power cord is on a power reel. I have to reach over and push this button too. If you get a Dutch Star, it's right here. You're a little more bougie. You don't have to bend over to reel your hose in. This is a huge space saver, but more importantly, it keeps your hands from getting all nasty and dirty and cold. There's a surge protector in there and a cable box. Sorry, I already closed the door. This is a huge difference. So this is the Oasis dual loop Chinook. You can see heating loop supply 1 and 2. What that means is there's 8 gallons of fluid in this, and they're running out of these 2 tubes each direction of the coach. And it just gives you better zone control in terms of keeping your coach warm. But again, you can run this off of your 30 or 50 amp power source. You don't have to have 50, you can run it off 30. And you could also run it without any power source off of the diesel burner. The diesel burner, of course, is gonna be what gets you the hottest. So I'll turn my diesel burner on if we're really like in cold weather camping. I'll turn that on because I've got the Chinook trying to keep the coach warm with that, that heat pump underneath, and it just gives it a little extra boost, so it also can get my water for my shower nice and piping hot. But I mean, it's so hot you have to turn it down. Like, you can't leave it all the way up. It's pretty amazing. As mentioned, all the slide trays. And I know that I've shown this both ways, but for Steve and his wife, they're coming out on the 18th to pick this up. This will help them to be able to see what they have. AGM batteries, absorb glass mat. That's what AGM stands for. Did I get it right, Avin? I'm getting a nod. I have the hardest time remembering some of these things. It's such a random word, but anyway, that is what it is. 8 of them daisy chained together, all 6 volts. And then again, dual fill 100 gallon fuel capacity. Big old 22 and a half inch Alcoa high polish rims. And then what I did earlier when I ran around to start the generator is I pulled this little handle and I popped the front, and that's where I got, there's your side cameras for when you turn. And I got my generator started, which is right inside here. So I could put my awnings in. And like I said, those little window awnings, like the ones that are keeping the sun out of the coach without having the big awnings in, you can see like they're just not even disturbed. Same with this one. The small ones are fine. It's just those big ones that you have to be careful with. So it's really nice to have the sun protection regardless of whatever direction you're facing. And as you can see, like, it's pretty gusty here, but they don't care. They're really good. And here in Colorado, it's more important for us than probably some of the other places in the United States. I want to point out a little difference in the headlights. So you've got automatic headlights this year, as well as auto dimming headlights. That's a really big new feature for this coach. So it's going to have better visibility at night than he had previously. But still a lot of the same things that he loved in the first Ventana. Again, write this down. It's a stock number 5N250950. Again, 5N250950. And then call me. I'll get you one too. I'm Katie O'Neill. I'm coming to you live from Transwest Truck Trailer RV in very beautiful Frederick, Colorado. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let me know how I get you on the road and camping.